Welcome back, Red Spotters, another show here on the Red Spotlight Entertainment Podcast. Notice a little enunciation on the red this time. I don't know, just because. I'm your host today, Alexis Soto. How are you guys doing? I know it's been a week, although for me it's felt like 5 years. I'm joined by Mr. David Francisco today. His sister just happened to have a major operation, but who cares really? How are you doing, David? You know, we only really care about you.
I'm good.
Yeah, the odds are 50-50 she'll survive or die, so, you know, no pressure, obviously.
Yeah.
And today we have, not the norm for us where we just, sit back and talk about certain things, but we actually have something of an occasion, as I have been teasing for weeks on this show about our impending top 10 show with Peter Martinez and Kyle Lira, which is going to come at you later on this month, about our top 10 lists, our top 10 movies of 2019, which the funny thing is, I am pretty confident in saying that all of us, including David here, went out of our way to see about the most number of films any of us had ever seen, and yet the irony is we're going to do this show several months earlier, or at least weeks earlier than we usually do. I think this might be the earliest one, with the exception, I think, of 2016, which I think we got it out early January. But I mean, this year blew 2016 out of the water in terms of the quantity of really good movies, and then just movies that we saw in general. So
much.
So much. And I think it's good considering since 2018, that list literally it was released as a Memorial Day special. We're literally just about halfway through the year, and that's when we go ahead and dropped a top 10 movie list of the previous year. Wow, that's going to be interesting. And then also we have the Academy Awards that are going to come up pretty soon, and I'm sure that we're going to have a recap show of that, the show itself, as well as, I guess the winners, if you want to call them that. So yeah, and what we're doing today, David has volunteered in a sense. He's given up himself as tribute. He will be the first person to unveil his top 10 movies of 2019. And again, just to make this work, I think it should be pretty obvious. David, I'm sure you've listened to our usual top 10 shows. I think I want to say that 2016 was the first time we did an official. 2016 was the first year of our show doing an official top 10 year list. So we've had for 2016, 2017, and 2018. And I'm sure you've listened to all of those shows. Of course, some of them at this point being, several months, if not years ago. Very curious though, just to quickly, don't want to spend too much time on this, but how would you usually, in your own words, what's the best way to describe how those shows normally go? Not in terms of like how, and I'll ask you a question about how we decided to do the process and the order of it, but I'm just curious, since you were basically just a listener in those days. How did those come across to you? Were you entertained? Do you think they were chaotic? Well, what did you make of them?
Chaotic.
In what way?
No, because sometimes you guys will have just like really different lists, and you're kind of like, of course you would have that. Or sometimes you'll be surprised of like, that movie's on your list or something like that. So yeah, it's a bit chaotic.
But also, I think you would agree that actually is a more entertaining, at least, aspect of it, because when we do these lists, we don't discuss them with each other. Mm-hmm. Part of the fun for us in doing those shows is essentially unveiling them for the first time within our group in real time, and seeing their reactions. And I think that those reactions are kind of they make for a more kind of like reality show aspect of it when you're just revealing whatever movies. And considering, boy, if there's anything we don't lack, it's passion. And if there's anything that we don't lack, is the inert ability to touch each other's nerves to the point where we can fight to the death for certain movies that are included or excluded, of course. And it's all in fun. I think they're the most fun shows to do of the year. I mean, I genuinely, I look forward to them a lot. Ever since 2017, I've been looking forward to them just a little bit less, considering the fact that, you know, Peter seems to have, you know, huge laundry lists of
huge honorable mentions.
Oh my God. And they get longer every year. They really do. I remember the first time, I think it was 2017, we did that list. And at that point I was doing it remotely. I was, I think, I was in San Diego at that point. And, I remember just, as Peter was going through just the honorable mentions, I want to say, I honestly could feel myself begin to snore. Like, I think I was literally falling to sleep. And it's, you know, no disrespect to Peter, you know, I appreciate the fact that he takes this very seriously. I mean, he is in many ways the biggest film fan among us and the different kinds of films. And in many ways, he has kind of like led us, you know, into exploring different kinds of movies now with To the Table, which we just finished the first month of episodes. And those conversations were, if anything, but they were very interesting. So I'm very appreciative of his presence in doing so, but I can't, as Kyle said the other day to me, it's nice, but like there's not much of us to react to, especially if we have never heard of the movie before. So there's not much of a conversation going on versus him just reading a list at us. And at a certain point, considering the fact that we usually do these shows late into the night, it can lead to the possibility of somebody dozing off. I'm just going to say that. And I don't know, David, the last 2 years, think into the crevices of your mind when you've heard these episodes, okay? Did anybody hear an audible snore of some sort? I mean, well, let me ask you then. How did you feel when we got to Peter's section?
No, I mean, he went through them pretty fast, and I liked hearing his thoughts about each of these movies, the descriptions of it and all that. I remember I think both times I might have listened to them for 2016 and 17. I probably listened to it at work, and the whole time kind of like, I should make a list of these, goddammit.
Yeah.
But I didn't, so I don't know what movies he mentioned. But yeah, I mean, he tried to get through them pretty fast, so, and I wasn't like, it's not like I wasn't doing anything during that time. So
in his defense, he does get through them pretty fast, and he does try to do that. The unfortunate aspect of it, I think the first time that happened, we were already we were clocking in hour 3. Like, again, these episodes will be, historically speaking, they've been 3 hours. I know the first year we did this, the first year we attempted to do this was 2016, or the year of 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was almost close to 3.5 hours, because it wasn't just doing a top 10 list of movies, but I think we also did a list of favorite TV shows.
Did you?
Yeah, all in one.
Huh, I don't remember that part.
It was years ago, man. We're talking about 2016, the first time we did this. We're talking about 4 years ago at this point, if that's true.
Yeah.
We're now in 2020. So, yeah. That's, yeah, I know.
I remember when I did it last year, I wanted to mention a few shows, but I just forgot about it. But because I remember, because last year it was just weak films, and so I wanted to be like, it was a week in films, but some great shows came out of it that year, but I never got around to it. Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, last year I think was the first time we officially got you on the record as far as your top 10, and we've done it separately because if you were on the show with the rest of us, it would
6 hours.
yeah. I mean, I don't think any of us has the time or the attention span. I mean, really, when we're pushing 3 hours, we're used to that now. But if we're gonna push 4 or 5, I mean, no, just no. So yeah, they can be entertaining, and a lot of us do get a kick out of, like, you know, drawing out the suspense and everything. Like I'm already thinking of ways as to how to in terms of how I reveal the list, how I can make it more, I don't know, suspenseful, more interesting. I have a list of I think I have my top 10 movies set in stone in terms of which movies they are now. Officially, I can confirm that. I'm rewatching certain movies just to make sure that they're in the right placement of it. But more or less, I know the 10 movies, and that's there. I also have a list of 10 to 15 honorable mentions. And I also have a list of dishonorable mentions. So, I'll selectively reveal those, and because what I do want is to make the ordering of it a little bit more suspenseful. Like today, for instance, what I asked you to do is when you reveal your list, right before we finish it off with your number 1 movie of the year, you're going to talk about the movies that were your honorable mentions. We're going to try and make it be as suspenseful as it is. And one of the things last year was Peter and I were very much just waiting for Kyle to unveil Bohemian Rhapsody, which again, it's not a movie that we want to hate. I don't hate. I enjoyed it for what it was when I saw it, but again, Bohemian Rhapsody, an Academy Award-winning film for Best Actor, which is so many things that we can say and have said about that in the past. Mm-hmm. But the fact that it was also a movie that Kyle was very much not looking forward to, and then ended up liking. Again, it plays into the nature of ourselves, and if I can say, it will. The top 10 lists are supposed to, in essence, really say a lot about the individual, more so than the films, because the films and the reasons for why you liked those movies should reveal, you know, aspects about you, and not only in the kinds of movies that you like or look forward to, but also what the films themselves say about the individual, that the individual likes them so much. And I've been thinking about that a lot over the course of the last few weeks in terms of the films that I have selected and how deeply moving they were to me. One of the themes that I can reveal as a little bit of a tease for when I reveal my list is just about all of them, not all of them, but most of them, were very much films that moved me, that doesn't mean that they were emotional in the same sense, not remotely. They were emotional in different senses, which makes it much more interesting. Some were joyful, some were definitely melancholy, and some were disturbing. So, and depressing. So and that's just, you know, I think that speaks to the power of movies, as not just entertainment pieces, but as art forms of their own right. You know, even, you know, one of my two main passions to talk about with people is movies and politics. And movies are just so much more fun to discuss because even if there are things to trash, and boy, do we love to trash certain things, that's more fun than politics because politics has so much to do with reality itself, and that can get downright absurd, if not depressing. And as somebody who has both of my feet in both of those worlds, this week of the first week of February, 5 days. I'm just talking about from Monday, which was the day of the Iowa caucuses, which we still don't know a winner of, by the way, and to Friday, which was the last debate. I'm saying this to prove a point, by the way. It has aged me so much. I was also working like all of those days. Like I had a full week of work as a, you know, I don't know if I told you this, but I'm a substitute teacher now. So
that's
there's
cool.
that. Yeah. But this has literally been the longest week in recent memory. Every day. Think about this. So Monday night, we were supposed to know who won that contest. We still don't know. And every single day, with every morphine drop of information they were giving us, the story became worse and worse and worse. And it's like, imagine having the anxiety. Peter and I can understand this because we share this very much. The anxiety of an election results night being literally stretched to the duration of a week. I felt so on edge. And so all of which is to say is I'm glad that right now at this moment, that's the last thing we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about movies because that's fun. That's always fun. And I'm very interested to see what movies you're going to say or what movies you're going to have on your list. Even also the movies that won't make the list. And yeah, that's kind of why a lot of us do this. It's just fun conversations. And I think we've gotten to the point where some way or another we're going to find ourselves going back to this and keep talking about this because we just have to. We have to. And it is therapy for us, at least for me anyway, because I need to get the fuck away from politics. Okay, that was a long-winded intro. Hi, everybody, if you're still there. This is episode 213. Yay! David Francisco is here. David, I'm giving you the wheel. You talk about before you get into your top 10 movies, enlighten us on your process in terms of the decision making behind selecting these movies. Talk to us about if it was harder than other years, easier in some ways. Get into all of that now.
This one was pretty easy. Again, last year wasn't that good a film, so it was more like, do I even want to talk about these on my top 10? Like, do I just need a top 3, really?
Oh shit.
Yeah. But really, just my process, it's just kind of whichever one's brought me the most entertainment. Usually there's just something small about a movie that I chose. There was one movie that I chose. It was just something small that I really, really enjoyed. But yeah, usually just whichever one brings me the most joy. So can I start? Should I start?
Of course, go ahead.
Number 10, Detective Pikachu. So, like I said,
this is, by the way, an example of a curveball. This is the perfect example of a curveball. Already, we're off to a surprise.
Yeah,
that's the last thing I expected. Okay, go ahead. Wow.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's not the only surprise. I think you might be surprised by another one, but yeah, like I said, it brings me joy. Like the biggest fan of Pokemon, and I just like as soon as I saw it, you know, I'm sure people can have some complaints about it or critiques, but I love seeing a live action Pokemon movie, one that like it's actually and it is really one of the best video game adaptation movies. So easily.
and just to be clear here, as to not rush this, because we don't have to rush ourselves here.
Yeah.
Every now and then, the rest of the panel will interject with their thoughts on the movie as far as the placement of this. So just so you're aware of this. That was a movie that I actually really enjoyed more than I ever thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an idea that when first announced, it was just batshit insane. Talking about Ryan Reynolds, the voice of Deadpool, voicing Pikachu in a Detective Pikachu movie. Okay. Look, there was so much that could have gone wrong, and we've seen. I never saw this, but but with good reason. We all know of the infamous Dragon Ball adaptation to live action, or whatever that was. Dragon Ball Evolution, is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've seen how bad it can get. But I mean, this is a very competently made movie in that it knows what it is, and it very much leans into those anime-esque aspects of it. It is geared toward younger audiences, but that doesn't really mean much of anything except that it's good at what it does.
Yeah.
It was very entertaining. I thought that the characters, while, not necessarily three-dimensional in a sense, but they were very much endearing and were captivating leads. And it was an interesting stylistic choice, and I think one that paid off for the movie in terms of, while it is very much a live-action setting, the translations, quote unquote, or the animation on the Pokemon were very, very much in the vein of their original animated versions, which it basically kind of creates the effect of a Who Framed Roger Rabbit, or a Looney Tunes back in action. Both movies that I happen to really, really like, and I think as far as that aspect is concerned, with the creation of the setting and the Pokemon, the humans, it's honestly kind of incredible how well it was. And at the same time, interesting enough that more people didn't concern themselves with seeing the movie. I saw this movie after you had kindly acquired the movie on our joined Voodoo Locker, and I saw this movie when I was very under the weather. Like, I could barely move, and I had, I think, a temperature, but I think it says something about a movie where you can barely move and yet the movie is captivating you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it got me that flavor of Pokemon that I hadn't had in a while. And of course, if you're a Pokemon fan, oh, come on. You have to see this. It's
a great movie for Pokemon fans.
Yeah.
Really. Okay. So, number 9, Captive State.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I really liked it when I first saw it. It came out like earlier in the year. And I just really liked the premise of it. The aliens took over the Earth, but like we actually like gave it to them basically, and it's the start of a little uprising. And I really like the way they were trying to fuel the fire of it. And it's just, I got some great actors on it that all did really well. So yeah, that's the only one that's kind of like there's not really much to say about it, but it was just something. There was something about it that really got my attention.
Okay.
Number 8, The Kid Who Would Be King.
That's not a surprise at all, considering, I think you've name dropped that movie several times.
Yeah.
So talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's a really funny movie. I loved all the kid actors in it, and I love the whole King Arthur stories. I guess I can say it's a charming movie.
Right.
I think that's the best way to describe it. Yeah. Number 7, Klaus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not surprising either, but I think very good. Klaus is very good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love Christmas movies, and this one really brought the Christmas spirit into it, I guess.
It kind of was the Christmas movie, you know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you I was actually going back and forth, and I may actually talk about this later on in the show. But there was one Academy voter who was interviewed by the Hollywood Reporter about how they were voting for Best Animated Feature. And the only mention that Klaus got from that person was that it was unwatchable. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Unwatchable? Like, this was one of the most delightful viewing experiences. Not just because it was entertaining, but because it was good. I mean, hello. I mean, the craft on display, from the stylistic choice of the animation, from it being 2D animation, and I think looking just as great as the 3D films. I'm sorry, that's the truth. Having that charm to it, the actual arcs and the development of characters in this movie, and that it was a low-key backdoor Santa Claus origin story. Hello. Really? That's how you're going to call that unwatchable? I thought the movie was just about as good as it could be, with the heart that you need with Christmas movies. I think, for me, one of the best Christmas films in ages.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mostly added it too because I wanted to put one animated film into my list. Right. Yeah.
That's something I want to pause there. That's something I think all of us do consider. In terms of like the diversity of the kinds of movies on our lists, which I want to point out is something that the Academy does not at all consider, at all. And the fact that we here, who are a very much zero budget podcast people who go out of our ways to see as many movies as possible, and then when we make our lists, we try and make every kind of genre of film out there, you know, have a little bit of love. You know, so yeah, Klaus is great.
Yeah, I almost put Frozen 2 in its place, but that was before I watched it.
That's okay. A Moreno will put it on the list. I'm sure.
Yeah, true.
It'll be on the list, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Whenever she wakes up from the coma. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Number 6, The Two Popes.
Ooh. Yeah. That is unexpected.
Really?
Unexpected before I knew what your thoughts were in the movie.
Okay.
But when you saw the movie, I think we discussed it last time you were on the show. It was definitely in contention. So Two Popes. How did this make its way into the top 10?
It was the actors, really. I mean, they fucking killed it, and it was mostly just really surprising for me because, again, I'm not really a religious person. You guys kept mentioning like it's just a bunch of talking between two people, and like I could have liked it, but not really put it in my top 10. But it really surprised me, and there was a few things in it that like that just again really brought me a lot of entertainment. Yeah. Number 5, Little Women.
Okay, you said that when you watched this a few weeks ago, you loved this movie. And I think we also discussed this last time you were on here. Little Women. Why number 5?
Again, it's really the cast. Okay. I saw it twice, and I saw it with my sister, and I was just kind of like, and watching it the second time, it just really solidified it because all of the actresses were just amazing. Florence Pugh, she goes from a 13-year-old to like some 18 or I don't know 19-year-old, and
the growth in that character is eye-opening in a way.
Yes,
it's almost kind of unexpected. I unlike some trashy Academy voter who I read over the week that I didn't buy at all into the performance of Florence Pugh. I was there. I mean, she made you believe she was like a 13-year-old girl, and then how much she had grown up to be this woman by the end of the movie. I think her performance does, in a way, steal the movie.
Yeah, definitely. But then also just everyone else. again, I'll say it again and again and again. It was a great ensemble cast. And the story, obviously, it's really nice. All these sisters trying, basically going their separate ways, but coming together in the end, and it's a really sweet story. Number 4.
Also, a low key great Christmas movie if you're looking for that too.
Yes, I keep forgetting that part. It's also a Christmas movie.
So you got 2 Christmas movies in the top 10 so far.
I really like Christmas, guys.
Yeah.
Number 4, Alita: Battle Angel.
Yeah. Alita. Go ahead, talk about Lira.
So this one I also saw twice, not in theaters, but I saw it like, I don't know, a couple months ago. And really what it was is Alita herself, Rosa Salazar. She's just the best thing about that movie. And also I really do enjoy the CGI effects, the fighting. I don't know why the first time watching it didn't capture me much. I don't know what it was, but the second time watching it I was kind of like, oh, I'm really into this, which is cool.
It very much acts like an anime in a way.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah.
And in many ways, when you're translating that into a live action setting, it either works or it doesn't for you. And I know a lot of people probably were turned off by that as far as the stylistic choice, behind those action sequences. But I very much thought that was part of the charm of the movie, that it made the bold choice to lean into them. And the visuals were just, they were jaw-dropping, weren't they?
Mm-hmm. Really. It really was. Number 3, Knives Out.
Talk about movies with big ensemble casts.
Oh,
yes.
My God, yes.
Knives Out, I'm going to tell you right now, that movie is going to be so high. If we're going to, let's say, like, for example, somebody who can do math, that's not me, can take everybody's top 10 list in the Red Spotlight group and average out the ones that appeared on each list and how high they did. I'm very confident Knives Out is going to be very, very high on that aggregated list. What can you say about this movie? The fact that apparently I ruined it for you and you still loved it.
Oh my God, that was the funniest thing ever, man.
Because his name was Ransom. And nobody caught on to that until after the movie. Like, Ransom. Like, holy fuck. It's staring me in the face. The posters are literally staring me in the face right now. I have it in my room, But
nice. We pretty much said everything we could say, like in our own episodes, but ensemble cast, so hilarious and just a great mystery to watch. And I really can't say much because if people haven't seen it yet, the fuck.
It's I think it's about to, if not has already crossed over $300 million worldwide. Again, it cannot be stressed enough for a movie of this scale, for a movie of the budget that it had, to do that is, that's kind of what movies of that scale used to do 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now it's very rare for it to do. I think this movie crossed over $100 million. I think it was one of less than 5 original films of 2019 to do that at the domestic box office. And yeah, I think for me, Knives Out is the rare movie that critics and audiences alike love it just as much or equally in that degree.
Mm-hmm. And apparently a sequel is already in the works.
We knew about that a few weeks ago, and just a little bit of news. I know that Lionsgate has officially confirmed that it is moving forward. That's pretty much Rian Johnson's next movie, which, oh my God, the perfect, that's like the perfect, thing that Rian Johnson, kind of like the reward or the warm hug we could give him after what happened with Last Jedi. Not that was not a great movie, but the fact that he was so, trashed by so many people, that his next movie was an original film that was so successful that it's basically beginning a new franchise.
Mm-hmm.
That does not happen a lot these days.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have happened to a more to a better person. I think I'm happy for him.
Yeah, same. Ugh, I hope it's the best thing ever. Number 2, Booksmart.
Colored me shocked. Colored me shocked because I had pegged the 2 movies in the top 2. Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah,
that was a curveball. Not that no, I don't know why I forgot Booksmart. Booksmart's very very high,
yeah.
but just so you know, I'm like writing these down as I go along, and I'm like, wait, this is getting interesting. All right, so tell us about Booksmart. Olivia Wilde's first movie, and of course we have the 2 wonderful characters here. Booksmart.
Yeah. Like I said, this was literally the funniest movie I've ever seen. Usually with comedies, like it's really hard for me to like get into the jokes because like I never really know what to expect in comedies. But this one, it just got me laughing. I literally laughed so loud in the movie theater that I got embarrassed for a second. Like, oh god.
No, man, I so agree with you. You know, I think the first time we talked about that movie, I had not seen it yet, and then I had talked about it with you because I saw it with Kyle. I liked the movie, like really, like I liked it a lot when I first saw it. But it really wasn't until a few weeks ago when I saw it the second time where I fell in love with it. Because you're right, it is very funny. I think it is without question the funniest movie of the year, as far as being a pure comedy is concerned. But it's more than that. And one of the things that popped into my mind when I was watching the film recently is what Peter Martinez had been complaining about for years. And what that would be, I mean, it's anybody's guess because he has a lot of complaints in a lot of movies for many years. I mean, that's typical. But one of the things that he continuously said about comedies is how many of the mainstream comedies are not shot particularly interesting. You know, they have the same look to them. The camera doesn't really do anything interesting in terms of how, it moves, if at all. And the fact, I noticed something in this movie, it being a full-blown comedy, and this being the debut of Olivia Wilde, what I noticed was somebody who is going out of her way to make this something that was more than just generic and mainstream. I mean, the movie would have been great because of how great it nails the humor, right? A comedy kind of it gets by on its comedy, on its humor, and it did that very well. But I do appreciate how Olivia Wilde, in many instances, really just she went for things. I think there was a sequence with Benny Fieldstein. She and her friend are walking into the finally they get to the party that they want to get to, and Benny Fieldstein sees her crush, which was her VP, the big jock, the stereotypical jock.
Yeah.
And I think we get into a 20 to 30 second musical sequence, between her and him, all going on in her head. So yeah, I mean, the only thing I will say about that is, there was a Warren 2020 bumper sticker that triggered me. And I nearly shut off the movie because I was mad at her that week. So I was like this close to just shutting it off. Again, I just wanted to point that out. But, and it's got heart and it's got emotion, and man, if anything, it just, it makes you feel so old because high school was,
Yeah. No, it really brought back memories to my high school, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
This is almost, I mean, not exactly like how it went down, but like
right.
Some of the other characters, like, that were from that school, like, there were moments I'm like, he reminds me of that person, she reminds me of that person, and it was insane. And
it hit a little bit more this time because I've started doing sub teaching for about 2 months now, almost heading on 2 months, and it's you do your fair share of going down memory lane, just being back in those environments, being back in our high school, BUHS. I think you also went to Barbara Worth Junior High, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
the junior high school in Raleigh. Yeah. Just being back there, it just brings back so many memories, but then you're also reminded of the environments that are there. I know one of the things that Kyle said to me when we first watched this together months ago. God, I can't believe it was months ago. It was fucking July. Kill me. Okay. He said, you know how in the end of the movie, when our two main heroines crash into the graduation ceremony with the car?
Yeah.
That's something that Kyle had, a version of it is what he had always talked about for years, about what he wanted to make. He wanted to stage an elaborate entrance at our graduation ceremony. Of course, no one took him seriously because, of course, Kyle would never do that. But one of the things that he wanted to do, because at that time, and he was very much a big Captain Jack fan, Captain Jack Sparrow, not Captain Jack Harkness, to be clear. And what he wanted to do in his head was like to have a float of some sort that resembled the Black Pearl. And what he wanted to do was for it to basically burst in, blast the Pirates of the Caribbean theme song as the float slowly makes its way to the stage. And he said to me that moment in the movie Booksmart resonated with him because that's literally what he wanted to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, isn't it? So I'm very happy that this movie is included in your list. This one's not a surprise because I know you did like it so much, but it is. Oh God, it's a great movie. I'm so happy that someone's going to include it in this top 10. Yeah. So, anything else you gonna say about Booksmart?
No.
Tell us now, before you hit into number one. You said you had a list of honorable mentions you wanted to get into.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So, first one, Joker.
Yeah, this one was the surprise. I expected this to be in the list.
Yeah.
So tell us about what happened.
No, I mean, I love this movie. I thought it was really great.
Right.
But like I said, I mostly pick my list from ones that give me joy. This is one of the most depressing movies of this year.
God,
and I had it on like number one for like the longest time, but then I saw Little Women and then Two Popes and just some other ones, and I was like, I gotta take it off my list. I gotta put these in my list.
Hold on a minute, because I think what you just said can't just be skirted under the rug, because that's actually pretty seismic what you just said. Because what you just said was that Joker had been your number one movie.
Yes, it
was number one.
I know.
And you're telling me that it fell off the list entirely?
Yes. Because again, I like movies that bring me joy. So
you're the guy. Look, I was expecting you to. You were the one that I was expecting to at least include this movie on the list. I'm sure you're the one that liked it the most. I know Kyle liked it too.
Yeah.
He liked it a lot as well. But that is the surprise of this one. I'm curious though. Before we move on to your other mentions, did you get a chance to listen to last week's show where Peter and I discussed the movie?
Yes.
What did you make of that? I mean, I really wanted to make sure that it was fair, but do you kind of understand a little bit as to why I had the reaction that I had now after listening to that? Not that you agree with it, but that you that you get that why I reacted that way.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of it mostly had to do with like the way you were going into the movie, just and who was behind it. So I get that. Yeah,
because I just wanted to make sure that I was people were getting me, because I remember when that movie was coming out, when it came out, and I had my reaction, and I didn't really know why I kind of had an overwhelmingly negative response to it. How I mentioned that Knives Out was a movie that everybody seemed to be on the same page. Joker was the opposite of that, because you had kind of like very much split sides on it. On the initial results that came in, I know that I very much didn't like it, but you liked it a lot. Kyle liked it a lot, and Nettie, our own Nettie Valdez, liked it a lot as well, which is one of the few movies he actually goes out and sees, and she actually enjoyed it. I suspect mainly because it very much was not a generic comic book movie, and I think that it has that going for it. But then I know your sister had personal issues with it that she didn't care about it all that much, as far as also some Joker stuff that she didn't particularly care or want to see in this movie. And Peter, I was expecting Peter to tear this movie apart, and he didn't. He very much came at it from a very neutral point of view, where it was he wasn't too hot on it, but he really didn't dislike it. So interesting reactions all around, I'll say, about that movie. And now the fucking ice cream truck is here, and it's. Go ahead.
My next one is Jojo Rabbit.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I mean, another great cast of people, and it was pretty funny, but really it was just really the story. That little kid killed it in the role, and he was one of the best things in the movie, and I just kind of.
You gotta remember his name, Roman Griffin Davis.
Yes,
Roman Griffin Davis, breakout role. I'm hoping, if at the very least Taika can get him some more roles. I mean, we definitely, as far as the field of child actors is concerned, Jacob Tremblay is the one that dominates above all else. But I really am curious and kind of hungry to see more performances from Roman Griffin Davis. Is a New Zealand actor, I think. I'm sure of it. And I'm hoping. I'm kind of hoping that Taika gives him a little cameo in Thor: Love and Thunder, or something. That would be fun to see. But no, it's so important that his performance in that movie is so important that if it wasn't good, the movie wouldn't have worked.
Mm-hmm.
That's how crucial it was.
Yep. Next one is Midsommar.
This one, first of all, a couple of things. The name. I've heard like 3 different like ways to pronounce it. I think that was the third one. You called it Midsommar.
Yeah.
I called it initially Midsummer.
Mm-hmm.
Midsummer, came out in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
But I think the way I've heard most people talk about it or pronounce the name, Midsummer. No, sorry. Midsommar. Yeah. Midsommar.
Oh.
Midsommar. You called it Midsommar.
Midsommar.
Okay.
I put more emphasis.
See, I'm already getting confused.
Yeah.
Midsommar. Midsommar is the correct pronunciation of this. Also, about the movie, holy fuck.
It is. It's what did I say? I think I just said it was disturbing.
That's kind of a good word to peg it.
Yeah.
I was having a discussion with Kyle the other day. I told him that when I went to go see this in the theater with Peter, we had the theater practically to ourselves, in that we were the only people who were in the theater watching this movie. And mind you, that was opening week, so there you go. But what I will say about it is that there is a scene in this movie where someone's, let's just say they're approaching a cliff. And gravity works spectacularly well here. The result of that made me openly shriek. Openly shriek. Not because I was scared, but because of how horrific. I'm not sure, horrific, repulsed I was by what had happened.
I think people in my theater were reacting the same way. Yeah.
You actually had people in your theater?
Yeah, we had people.
Okay.
It was pretty full, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and yeah, I think they all had similar reactions to that scene, and I think the ending, they're all kind of like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also a breakup movie, so there's that.
It's a great breakup movie, one of the best. Speaking of breakup movies, Marriage Story.
Ooh, yes.
I mean,
holy fuck, this movie. Hold on. I mean, This movie, and I don't know if you and I had the opportunity to talk about this movie in terms of like how it's being discussed, but man, I think it's, and to be fair, there's a good like 5 or 6 movies that are like arguably very good that have come under siege for very different reasons. People have had such triggered responses to this movie, and I guess we should have expected it considering that it deals with divorce.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, what are the reactions that you've been seeing about this movie on Twitter and everything?
It was just the one that my sister sent about that one scene.
The big blow up scene that's been shared on Twitter.
Yeah, that one. It was just kind of like, I mean, I haven't seen it when she mentioned it, but when I saw it, I was kind of like, this is really good. What's the problem? I don't get it. You know, like it seems like a good reactions to what they're talking about. It's great acting, both of them. But yeah, that's actually the only one I saw. I'm not on Twitter at all, so
you should. Maybe that's a good choice. Maybe that's a good choice. Because Twitter can very much be not healthy at all. However, I think in general, one of the funniest things, and I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast with Peter, but one of the reasons that it won't do well at the Academy Awards is because it reminds too many people about divorce, and Hollywood is all divorced. So
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. So
one of the weird things about it though is that people have called it fake and unrealistic and phony in terms of how it dealt with the story of a marriage coming apart. And I'll tell you, if I felt that way, I probably would have not cared about this movie at all. You know?
Yeah.
I don't understand, because I do think that this is written and directed by Noah Baumbach, and it's very much highly publicized that he wrote this, you know, because he had I think a divorce himself with actor Jennifer Jason Leigh. And it felt very personal to me, even though there was a stylistic choice to lean a little theatrical because of the nature of the character. I mean, the nature of the Broadway actor characters, and some of the staging, and some of the beautiful monologues that some of the actors got. But just because something leans into theatricality does not mean that it comes across as phony or fake.
Actually, that's actually pretty cool that you like brought that up, because it does kind of look like it could have been like a play. Yeah. And the first thing that popped into my mind was Fences.
I haven't seen that yet. But
yeah, that one
that's also based off a play.
Yeah, it's based off a play, and I mean, I'm kind of remembering the dialogue on both, and they're pretty similar almost. I mean, they're like not exact same dialogue, but like the way they act in that movie, it was almost the same as this one. And so yeah, I mean, if it's too much for people, all right, but it's basically like how it's supposed to be.
We've had a great year of performances, but no one will forget Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson in this movie.
Oh yeah.
So Marriage Story. What's next?
Dolomite Is My Name. Again, this is how I brought it up. Like I said, like with comedies, like it's really hard for me to laugh at them. And this one, I hardly ever laughed, but I was really, really entertained throughout the entire movie. And it's not a knock on the movie that I didn't laugh, because again, it kept me engaged. The story was so great. I love the idea of just these people wanted to make a movie just for the hell of it, and it was
and that in and of itself was fun too, because I imagine, some of us actually have had a little bit of a similar experience. Some of us have actually been involved, if not asked, to help friends of ours make their own movies. I made a movie, a documentary short film. It's very believable how many things can go to horribly, horribly wrong. I think it's very much appealing, just these group of friends making a movie together. I know that the movie is billed on the return of Eddie Murphy, and he is fantastic. You forget how great Eddie Murphy can be. And oh my God, what an endearing character he plays here. But it also is kind of a low-key ensemble cast. You have a great cast of characters here, like Lady Reed is a big part here, as well as Craig Robinson from The Office is in this movie, and he's singing good. You have what's his name? Keegan-Michael Key is in this movie. Wesley Snipes as the director, the fucking bitchy director who is hilarious as hell. I won't forget one of the scenes in this movie where Eddie Murphy Dolomite is concerned about they're going to shoot a sex scene the next day. And he's concerned because he's not exactly, as he says it, the sexy type. And so he comes up with the idea of making it funny. And he makes it pretty funny. Like, I could barely contain my laughter when they were filming that. And I love the reaction by Wesley Snipes when he says, well, I don't know about Love and Tender, but that was funny as fuck or something he said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really did enjoy this movie a lot.
Next one, Shazam.
Yes, I just saw this.
Yeah, I saw it too.
I just rewatched it a few days ago. Actually, go ahead, talk about Shazam.
Yeah, no, I saw it a few weeks ago actually too, and I mean, it was one of the best DC movies in a while. I mean, I like Aquaman and all that, but this one was way better. What's his name? Zachary Levi?
Yes.
He's great. He was perfect for this role.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh. And again, the story is so great. Learning about family, or learning to be part of a family and all that. It's a nice story.
The movie felt like a throwback in a way. It felt like a throwback to the 2000s, because the 2000s was the era of comic book movies where we got like X-Men, X-Men 2, the Spider-Man Raimi movies. It had heart, and it didn't shy away from the heart or the cheesiness of it. And I think it came off better for it. To me, it is my favorite DC film of the bunch. I mean, it's far and away the best DCEU movie. And I think it showed the level of filmmaking. This, as well as James Wan's Aquaman, both of those movies had heart, and both of those movies knew ultimately what each of those were going to be as far as an identity and as tone was concerned. And to me, Shazam and Aquaman provided moments and cohesive pieces that I'm much more attracted to than a lot of recent MCU fare. I'm just going to say that. Oh, and color. Oh my God, color.
Color, yes.
Yes, color. Oh my God. I mean, this movie had, I don't know what the name of that character was. I just remembered, you know how at the end of Shazam, it goes to, what was Dr. Savan, the villain, Mark Strong. He is in prison. And then an evil worm.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Remember
about that. Yeah.
When I was rewatching Shazam, I didn't realize that evil worm was in the what's it called?
In the beginning?
You know, in the beginning of the movie, what's the location called of Shazam? Where he has the 7 deadly sins captured in stone.
I don't know, but I mean, they're just calling it a secret lair because
the lair, whatever it is. I didn't realize that there were 2 shots. The worm was there in the beginning of the movie, and then after the evil sins had broken out, the worm, when you see what's our lead character's name? I forget. Not Billy. Yeah, Billy Batson.
Yeah.
When he's there, the worm had escaped.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some subtle touches that I hadn't noticed.
Yeah. No, I remember seeing that the first time, and but I forgot about the worm being in the uncredited scene. That was the best thing ever. Oh my God! I hope. Wait, are they making the second one? Did they announce?
Yes, they are.
Yes,
it's officially a go.
Please let it be a villain.
Yes.
Okay, my next one is How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
Yeah, I need to see this again.
Yeah, I love this franchise, and it was a great ending to this movie. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much I can say, but like I said, I love the franchise. Great trilogy. I really recommend it.
Yeah, that ending does hit like a ton of bricks.
Oh my god, I cried twice.
Yeah.
Next one, I Am Mother. It's a Netflix. I think it was a Netflix original.
Okay.
I think it was. But it's about, humanity's basically gone, and you have this robot who's raising the next human being, who's this like little girl, and it's a bit suspenseful because they light spoiler, they find another human, and there's just this like a dynamic between the main actress trying to stick with her mother, who is the robot, or another human being, just someone she can relate to, basically. And it's just really suspenseful, and it has I think it has a really great ending.
I'll admit to you, I haven't heard of this movie at all. Wow.
Yeah.
I Am Mother?
Yeah.
It's a Netflix movie. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was. I know it's on Netflix. I just can't remember if it was a Netflix original or something. Or yeah. Next one, Late Night.
Oh yes.
Yeah. There's another great cast. A really funny movie.
No, it's great.
Yeah. Go ahead. And again, this is just a great story of someone wanting to make it into an industry with little experience, basically. And just the way you see the process of her like learning how to make it great. Well, she's trying to learn comedy, basically, and her process of trying to make jokes and to like fit her style and to kind of make a story within it. It's really interesting to watch. It's
also very funny. It is a comedy, and it's it's a late night kind of show or movie, and the laughs come consistently. They almost come immediately. I love this wonderful moment at the beginning of the movie where Mindy Kaling's character is walking out of the subway, and she's looking at the building with this admiration and with this hope in her heart, and like, oh my God, is this really happening? And as she's about to walk in, she's hit in the face with a garbage bag, and she falls down. I mean, okay, we're gonna go. It has a little bit of slapstick in there, and I'm a big fan of slapstick too. Yeah. Emma Thompson and Mindy Kaling have actual chemistry, and it's really on fire here. I rewatched this a few weeks ago as well, and the laughs still hit pretty hard.
Yeah. Last one. It's Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Okay. I just found it really entertaining. The actors are really good. And it's not super scary, but like it kind of like it toes the line between like really suspenseful and almost scary. But yeah, I just found it to be really entertaining. I really recommend it.
Do you have any dishonorable mentions?
I think you know what it is. It's
I mean, just to be fair, right? I mean, if we're going to take a poll of people's favorite movies of the year, somebody would be interested in what was some movies that were pretty much disappointing
Yeah,
tell us.
The Dead Don't Die. Fuck that movie.
I've never heard you say to any movie, fuck that movie.
Yeah.
Man, this must have been the most miserable experience of your life to say that.
Nothing happens in that movie. Like they have things going on, like you think it could be set up, but it just ends abruptly, and you're kind of like, okay, we're moving on to the next thing, I guess. And oh my God, this movie. Fuck this movie. Oh my God. And there's some other ones. Others? I mean, there are other ones. It's just that's the only one that's like, ugh.
So that's the one that I think you're disgusted with.
Yes.
And there are others that not necessarily to that level, but you are disappointed.
Yeah, I'll just name them real quick. I mean, it was Godzilla, King of the Monsters. The story was really boring. It Chapter 2 really is just kind of disappointing, I guess.
Wait, what were the movies again? Say it.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It Chapter 2.
Oh, okay.
Men in Black International. That's one that really I had really high hopes for.
Didn't meet them at all, it seems.
Yeah. Dark Phoenix.
I mean,
yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. The other ones, like, I found them to be entertaining, but not really like disappointments.
Okay. Okay.
So
interesting. There's no Lion King on here.
Again, I found it entertaining. It's just,
and that's you. That's good. That's
Yeah.
all you for sure.
Yeah.
Although my feelings on it are definitely much more extreme.
Yeah.
What about Rise of Skywalker? Does that get any kind of mention, or you rather just forget it exists?
I'd rather just forget.
Okay.
Yeah.
That the Rise of Skywalker gets the I'd rather just forget it award of the year. Okay.
Yeah.
So with all of that into account, we've got your numbers 10 through 2. We've got your honorable mentions, and we have your dishonorable mentions. I'm sure, because it was the year 2019, there's a movie that is pretty obvious what it's going to be. But either way, I'm very, very curious to hear your thoughts on it, because it has been a few months.
Yeah.
So tell us about your number 1.
So I actually thought about taking this one out too. But I'll explain why I left it in. And my number 1 is Avengers Endgame.
I really thought it would have been Aladdin. No, I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. No, seriously. Like I was actually, I wanted to take it out and put Booksmart as my number 1, but sadly I haven't seen, what is it? Lighthouse, Parasite, Peanut Butter Falcon, Honey Boy. I feel like one of those is gonna like get to me and I can take it out. Well, I mean, we'll see. But Avengers Endgame, part of the reason is just I never felt such mixed emotions at a movie theater in like out of any movie. Yes, because I mean, not like it's not like disappointing or anything. It's just like I felt sad because it's ending, and I was crying because again these characters were ending, but also because you got that portal scene that like just kind of like brought me to tears so much. It was the greatest scene ever, really. And so yeah, that's basically why I put it as my number 1. It really was a different experience ever. The craziest experience.
I would imagine that one would have been here, because I recall that when we were discussing the movie months ago, months ago when it came out, and I know one of the comments that Peter had mentioned to me, because Peter Martinez is not as enthusiastic about this movie as most of us are. I think that's pretty clear. But he did listen to our podcast. I think it was That's America's Ass Part 2. You and I.
Yeah.
That's America's Ass trilogy, yeah.
And I cried in that in that podcast.
You did. And there's nothing to be ashamed about this.
I'm not ashamed of it. It's just hilarious.
No, it is. It is. And that's one of the things that Peter had said to me was that, wow, who thought David could be emotional? I mean, that...
Oh my god, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I imagine this would have been very high on it, just for the pure emotion, that it stirred within you. And when you think about how a moving picture or moving pictures and music can do that to you, no, I mean, needless to say, I'm in complete agreement in terms of the emotional reaction to that movie. I really do feel like if we're labeling the Star Wars comparison, I think Infinity War is as much this generation's Empire as Endgame is this generation's Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
It wrapped up everything about as good as you could be, you know? And so I think I love those movies. I love them so much.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So just to recap there, your dishonorable mentions: Men in Black, Dark Phoenix, Dead Don't Die. Was there one missing there somewhere?
It Chapter 2.
It Chapter 2. Oh yeah, that was disappointing.
Yeah.
It Chapter 2. Your honorable mentions: Joker, Jojo Rabbit, Midsommar, Marriage Story, Dolomite Is My Name, Shazam, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, I Am Mother, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and your official top 10 of 2019. At number 10, Detective Pikachu. At number 9, Captive State. Number 8, The King Who Would Be King. Number 7, Klaus. Number 6, The Two Popes. Number 5, Little Women. Number 4, Alita, Battle Angel. Number 3, Knives Out. Number 2, Booksmart. And number 1, Avengers Endgame. What a year in film.
Yeah.
What a year in film.
Mm-hmm.
And that still is just scratching the surface when we get to the inevitable big I don't want to call it showdown, although sometimes it may feel like a showdown when we're trying to, like, I mean, at some points, I mean, just to be fair, when we get to the actual top 10 show, it almost devolves into like my list is better than yours dick measuring contest. I mean, which I'm sure is part of the appeal to some people.
Yeah.
No, wonderful list. I'm interested to see, has Moreno, your sister, has she gotten anywhere on this list? Has she made a list?
I think she tried, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. And then of course, she's in a coma right now, so that's not going to really, make matters worse, although you can try and wake her up, the lazy ass. I mean, yeah, in that regard. So yeah, there we are. One more thing I wanted to get into, if you'll indulge me. Well, actually, before we get into that, because I need to, write it up. And I'm gonna spring this on you at the last minute. Any memorable seasons of or TV shows that you liked as far as 2019 is concerned?
Oh my god. A new season of Lost in Space came out on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Literally, I think it'll be one of your guys' favorite sci-fi shows ever. So honestly, it's so good. They get down to the science of it on like everything they do, whether it's like plants or geography or just basic math, really, and it's so good. Oh my god. The series finale of The Good Place came out a few weeks ago, but the whole season came out last year. The Good Place, one of the best shows I've ever seen, and such really a beautiful ending to that whole show.
I heard it was really good.
Yeah, if you don't know what's it about, it's about this woman who goes to the good place, heaven, basically, and they're telling her like, "Oh, you're here, Eleanor. Have a great eternity," basically. And she goes, "I'm not Eleanor. I'm not supposed to be here. I think I'm supposed to go in the bad place." And so, she's trying to find a reason to stay in the good place, try to become a better person, basically. But there's a really huge twist though in the end of the first season if what I just said doesn't capture your attention, that will. It's a really funny movie, and just sends a whole message of morality and just what it means to be a good person, or how you should really live your life, basically. Yeah, it's really one of the best shows. Those are the only two that were like really stood out to me.
Stranger Things 3?
That one was also really good. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Actually another one, The Magicians. It's a great fantasy movie. It's about these kids. It's these basically actually adults that go to a school to learn magic, but they also travel to basically another world. The best way I can describe it is like it's Harry Potter meets Narnia in a PG-13 show. That's the best way I can describe it. And the way they built out the world and the magic, it's super great, and also really funny show. I highly recommend it. Oh wow.
I know you liked Shield last year, right?
Shield, of course. Yes, I can't wait for it.
Did you still watch Resistance? Star Wars Resistance?
Star Wars? Oh, I never saw it.
I thought you were watching it.
No, I never saw it, actually.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
I never saw it either.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Did you get around to seeing any of the Disney Plus shows like the Imagineering Story? Or the Mandalorian?
Yeah, the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was just a really fun, I guess you can say Western.
Mm.
I saw The Witcher. That one was also pretty good.
On Netflix, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
got a lot of
Henry
attention.
Cavill's really good in it, and I like the action. The Boys. It's an Amazon show. That one's also really, really good. Basically, it's what if the Justice League were a fucked up super team, and you got just a bunch of humans trying to, trying to get people to really see them, who they are, and all that. And it's really entertaining.
Yeah. A lot of people were talking about Watchmen. Did you see Watchmen?
I haven't, actually.
Doom Patrol?
Oh my god, yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot about that. Yes, like one of the best shows. That one, I'll say one of the best shows of this year, because it just got one season so far. And I wish I can remember exactly what I wrote in the group chat, but I basically said it's just a crazy, crazy show about these group of people who have the worst of circumstances ever and try to make the best of it. And it's just batshit crazy. And I mean, I watched the CW shows like Flash, Arrow. I mean, if you either like the first seasons or you get out of it. I mean, I don't know, but again, I still watch all of them really. And the Crisis on Infinite Earths came out. It wasn't their best crossover, but I liked it. It was entertaining, and it's the series finale of Arrow just happened this year. I didn't cry in the finale, mostly because it didn't feel like an ending. Mostly because I still got like the Flash, Supergirl, and I'm hoping their spin-off show gets greenlit, Green Arrow and the Canaries, where basically Oliver's daughter is becoming the new Green Arrow. So yeah, it wasn't exact. Oh my god, yeah, and something happened in the finale. This one character, John Diggle, who was in it from the first season, it literally ends with him getting a Green Lantern ring. Oh my god, dude! My sister and I screamed when we saw that. Like,
really?
Yes. Especially because like that's something people who are fans of the show, they've been wanting that for like the longest time. Just make him Jon Stewart. Who cares? Get him the ring. And so we finally get it in the series finale, and I'm sure it's gonna tie into the HBO.
Yeah, the Green Lantern show is coming for sure.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of a Harley Quinn show on Disney Universe. Not Disney Universe, DC Universe.
Disney Universe. Yes. I've missed a few episodes, not caught up on it, but the ones that I've seen, it's super hilarious. What is it? Kaylee Cuoco. She's a great Harley Quinn, and I really recommend that show too, actually.
Now, at some point, this is going to come up, and I would assume this would be the dishonorable mention of the year. Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that was a really big disappointment, really.
And there were great episodes in that season.
The first, 2, 3 episodes.
The first 2 or 3.
Yeah, were really, really great. There was a lot of setup to it. You got all these characters coming in together now. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of went downhill after that.
Yeah, you were probably... I think you hated it, right? The ending?
Yeah, I really hated it. I mean... it was just really... It's just that whole last season was super rushed. And some of them just... It really shouldn't have happened. Like, what was it? That one guy with the one hand?
I forget already what the fuck you're talking about. I mean...
The twin brother.
What?
He's a twin, isn't he?
I forgot. Okay, let's just.
Okay. Well, I'm sure.
I don't know who
I'm
you're
sure someone knows who I'm talking about, and I'm sure they know what I'm talking about as to what was disappointing about that. But yeah, I guess Game of Thrones is my dishonorable mention.
Yeah, and that one still stings. I mean, I didn't feel angry watching the finale or the episode before, but I definitely did feel sad, and I don't think that. I mean, not in the good way. So, yeah, I'll say though. I mean, as far as like TV for me is concerned, I really liked Shield. Of course, I mean, I always like Shield. So, there's that for you. I didn't really get too much in the way. Into TV. I know that I still want to see The Good Place in its entirety eventually. I still want to get into the latest seasons of BoJack Horseman and Rick and Morty, although both of those shows can have wildly different effects on my mood for various reasons, so I'm kind of actively avoiding them.
Yeah.
So, but I really liked Stranger Things 3. I don't know. I mean, to me, it played better as a long movie.
Yeah.
It was a long 8-hour movie, and I really did. It's hard to I think sustain the magic of that show from the first season. It's changed, but I definitely I still care about it a lot. Maybe even more now than I did in its initial season.
Yeah,
So.
no, I did too. It's just I guess it just didn't stood out. I mean, like I said, The Good Place is like one of my favorite shows, and
Right.
Doom
Of course.
Patrol.
I mean, you're playing at different favorites, obviously.
Yeah.
Depending on who you are. So that was 2019. I do want to read some comments on here before we go, if you don't mind, about the. So the Hollywood Reporter does this annual thing where they go out and they interview some Academy voters to get a sense into their psyche, and I wanted to read these comments because I feel that at points. When Peter and I, trash the Academy, I don't want to create the impression that we're doing that just because, because there are things that we say like, okay, they have shit taste and then like they're idiots, that's been said on the show several times.
Yeah.
There were several interviews done here with 2 Academy voters, and while many people would say that that's not indicative of everybody, Peter and I would very much make the argument that these comments are indicative of most of the Academy voters, right? So I'm going to read these things out, and feel free to laugh or gasp or clutch your pearls. So here we go. I'm going to read, these are comments, so just be aware they're not mine. Don't confuse them with me.
Yeah.
Here we are. Little Women was badly acted and confusing, and I have no idea why they cast 4 British actresses to play American girls. and every time they said they were poor, I gagged. They're living in a beautiful 2-story house, and they have a cook. First of all, what does this have anything to do with the quality of the movie? I mean, these are just petty reasons, and you're going to see that theme. Just petty reasons. They're like, oh, I don't believe that they're poor. They have a beautiful house. Or like, why do they have British people? Like,
What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
right?
And the only part like I would understand that's confusing is the back and forth between times.
Yes.
That's the only part I can understand. But at some point, like they figured out a way to like
at some
tell
point
you
got to turn your brain on. That's all I'm going to say. It keeps going. Jojo Rabbit was cute, but I found myself unable to laugh about Hitler. I don't think that's funny.
Oh my god.
Which is typical from these people. Here's another one. Marriage Story was phony. You don't have an off-Broadway director and an off-Broadway actress living in a nice house. What's with these houses? Okay. Living in a nice house with no day job. If an off-Broadway actor makes $150 a week, that's a lot.
I mean, I don't know the business.
This person has an issue with apparently believing the houses that they live in. Okay.
He doesn't like the world building in these movies, I guess, or something. I don't know. What the fuck?
I don't know. This person again says, if someone besides Martin Scorsese had directed The Irishman, it wouldn't have had all the accolades. That can be fair.
Yeah.
It can be fair. It does because of this years in the business. Oh, because of the years of these people. Okay. But then it says it was too long and too repetitive, and the reverse aging did not work. That's also fair.
Yeah.
They erased the lines in their faces, the VFX, but they still walked like old men. Francis Ford Coppola got it right in The Godfather when he had different actors play the characters when they were young and when they were old. Besides, I don't care about any of the people in this movie. That last bit, I was like, okay, I disagree with that, but mostly this is not insane.
Yeah, some of it is fair, but I wouldn't consider it as a bad criticism of the movie. You know, like you could see them move like they were their age and all that, but it never took me out of the movie. So
right. Then this person, I really liked Ford v Ferrari. I liked the two actors and the moral of the story. And I wish they had promoted it more. It's worthy of more attention than it has gotten. And the initial reaction I said to this, like, she liked the moral of the story, Peter. Come on. Can't we all get behind that? Like, yeah, the moral of the story is great. And Ford v Ferrari, which I discussed with Kyle, is a good film.
Mm-hmm.
But is that really the criteria by which we should analyze how good art is?
Yeah. What's the moral of the story, though, Ford v Ferrari? I haven't seen it, so...
I saw the movie. I'm trying to think. Give me a sec. I don't know. All right.
Okay.
This one, Parasite, is beautifully done, but it didn't hold up the second time, and I didn't think foreign films should be nominated with the regular films. What are you saying there? What the fuck? The regular films. Yeah. You mean the dramas, the biopics, and the character period pieces that you always nominate? And are those what you consider regular movies? Because they never nominated a horror movie.
Yeah.
Or a comedy. Or anything else. This one. I liked Joker more than I thought I would. I put off seeing the movie for a long time but it was actually a beautifully done film about mental illness. And I thought about it for a long time afterward, which is always a good sign. That's fair. If you like that movie. I can't vote for Marty Scorsese. Nobody wants to say it, but it's just not that good. Ouch. Todd Phillips did an incredible job on Joker, as did Bong Joon-ho on Parasite, but not the best. I liked 1917 and Sam Mendes' direction, but I thought Quentin Tarantino did a great job. And I want an American director to win. The Oscars is an American thing.
Oh my God.
English things win BAFTAs, and the French vote for the French. And Quentin Tarantino should be honored for a great American movie.
Oh my God.
This got weird.
Yeah. That's not good. That's not good
That
at all.
got weird. I could almost hear Trump say America first. With these comments. That's not the criteria though. Like those aren't the rules. And okay. And this person has a vote. I wasn't particularly impressed by Marriage Story's Adam Driver. Leonardo DiCaprio has won already. I loved The Two Popes, Jonathan Pryce, but I don't know if I want to give it to the Pope. What? Let me read that again, because this was weird too. I loved The Two Popes, Jonathan Pryce, who played Pope Francis, but I don't know if I want to give it to the Pope. It's as if this person's convinced himself that if you award Jonathan Pryce, that's the same thing as giving Pope Francis an Academy Award. Is that what this person's saying? I don't know if I want to give it to the Pope.
Is he talking about like giving? I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Never mind.
I don't think that. I think the impression that comment made to me is that this person doesn't want to award anything to, I think, Catholicism.
Maybe, I don't know.
But what does that have to do with the acting of it?
Yeah,
like who cares? I mean, Joaquin, because that's a performance that sticks in your mind. Okay. I can't vote for Scarlett Johansson for a story I thought was not truthful. I can't vote for Cynthia Erivo. She played Harriet in the movie Harriet. Because I think that they should have gotten an American actress to play Harriet.
What the fuck?
Not an English actress. Bombshell's Charlize Theron did a good imitation of Megyn Kelly, but I find the real Megyn irritating, so I found her irritating too.
Oh my
god. I love Al Pacino, but he wasn't Jimmy Hoffa. He was himself. Right, you're like, the real Jimmy Hoffa was a guy you were scared of because he kept it all inside of him. He never exploded like Al did. Marty should have curtailed him. Joe Pesci was good, but I don't think that he did anything that he hasn't done before. Just less of it. And then this one got weird. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Tom Hanks is a very good at imitating Mr. Rogers. But if you look in his eyes, this is where it gets weird. If you look in his eyes when he talks to the lead guy, his eyes are not soft and loving. His eyes are calculating and judging. Mr. Rogers' eyes were warm.
Okay.
So he was put off by the eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going for Brad because he hasn't won before. I was irritated by Florence Pugh. She is so much older than her character is supposed to be. That it was laughable. You're like 30 years old. Why aren't you a grown-up? Oh my.
What the fuck?
Marriage Story's Laura Dern was annoyingly over the top. If I was her client in a divorce case, I would have walked out 5 minutes into her rant and hired Ray Liotta. What the no one cares what you would have done in that situation. That has nothing to do with what's happening in the movie. Mm-hmm. These all of these takes except for one were horrendous and petulant. Yeah. That's the theme of these comments. There's more. So I voted for Scarlett Johansson, even though I didn't like Jojo Rabbit very much, because she did something kind of different than I've seen her ever do before. Little Women was back and forth chronologically, and you didn't know what was going on. I didn't like the theme of Jojo Rabbit, and The Irishman was boring. I actually went for the Two Popes over Joker because I didn't think a movie about two popes could be interesting, but it was, and funny. Marriage Story was fake, which is too bad because there probably is a story there. And I think Noah Baumbach's writing about himself, but it just doesn't ring true. I really loved Knives Out, but it was too light.
What does that mean?
I guess because it wasn't serious enough.
I guess. I don't know. That's not the point, but...
Exactly. But Quentin did an amazing job with his fairy tale, and that's really what it is. It begins once upon a time, after all. And then this person talking about the songs that are nominated. I listened to all of them, and I don't like any of them. None of them stayed with me. Elton John's song, even Elton John's song, if I had a gun to my head, I couldn't sing any of them, unlike songs from the past that I would remember. This person voted to abstain in that category. Initial reaction to those comments, David, while I get some more. Horrendous and petty?
This is the same person, right? Or
This is all one person. This is all one person, yeah.
The whole time I'm just kind of like, this is kind of racist. This is kind of sexist. This is...
If you think that's racist, well, I've got some.
Oh God.
There was, of course, they did several of these. I'm gathering the other one right now that I shared with Peter, and I believe that this one was a male. This next one, anyway. If not, maybe it's a female. Who knows? I don't know. 2 movies that I really hated were Ford v Ferrari and Little Women. The director of Ford v Ferrari, James Mangold, knows nothing about racing, and he admitted as much as at the Q&A.
I mean, if I can understand that, because there's some people who they know how to fight with swords, and then when they see a sword fight, it kind of takes them out of it. So I can understand that. That's fine. Whatever.
But the movie, but
it has nothing to do with the whole of the movie. Basically,
this person isn't saying that the racing in the movie was bad. This person is saying because James Mangold admitted he knew nothing about racing.
Oh, so that they found the racing bad, or they found the movie bad?
Because not because of the direction, but because he admitted it.
Okay, never mind. Okay, that's stupid.
Exactly. With Little Women, the timeline was ridiculous. I was really confused sometimes, and I know I'm not the only one. Thank God Saoirse Ronan cut her hair, because at least it gave me a bit of a reference point.
I mean, you can still figure it out without it. Jesus
right.
Christ.
As for Marriage Story, I needed to care for the kid, and I didn't. And I know that those 2 actors, Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, poured their souls into those roles. But it's getting harder and harder for me to care about entitled people's marital relationships. This is getting weird. It wouldn't have been that hard to say, I'll stay in New York. You go to LA and work for a while. Stay married, hook up when you can, and be bi-coastal.
What the fuck? This person's got issues.
I'll even chime in Peter's commentary, because he reacted to these quotes. His initial reaction to that particular comment was, I can't believe people view film this way.
Oh my God.
I feel we're learning a lot by reading these comments. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
It goes on. The Irishman, as much as I loved it and its performances, is not Casino. After Hoffa was dead, the movie was done for me. My ass was sore and I wanted to get the fuck out of there.
Jesus.
They're not holding back here. I love Parasite. Super smart. Brilliant director, Bong Joon-ho. The movie looks great, and the whole look into class struggle was terrific. But once the murdering started happening, they lost me. What the fuck? If this doesn't make you lose all hope in these people, I don't know what will. He's saying the movie was great up until people started dying. Because that's a metric by which you judge the quality of the story or the movie or anything? Okay. Mm-hmm. Joker was excellent, but it's not a best picture. That's all he said. 1917 was great, but gimmicky, and rang a little hollow for me in the same way Dunkirk rang a little hollow for me. That's fair, because I feel that way, and I know Peter feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
Once I realized it was okay to laugh at JoJo, pause for that, okay. It was great. It was great. So funny and so applicable to where we are today. You don't say. Martin Scorsese has done this a lot and often better. Talking about The Irishman. Listen, I've seen Casino in its entirety, start to finish, 20 times. That movie makes you want to be a gangster. This one was depressing. I'm watching my wise guy heroes for decades as old men. Peter's reaction to this? It's supposed to be depressing. Like, the movie wasn't fun, and even though it wasn't trying to be fun, I'm gonna ding it for it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Two Popes wasn't the movie for me, so no Jonathan Pryce. Adam Driver. Hold on. Adam Driver, I didn't respond to the movie Marriage Story, although I felt bad for him, his character. His wife didn't have enough compassion for him. He brought her back from the dead, not vice versa, and there should have been a little more love there. I just didn't mesh with Scarlett Johansson in Marriage Story at all. She has a great woe is me speech in the beginning of the third act, but the movie just didn't do it for me. I mean, clearly.
I guess. Again,
I love
sexist.
Saoirse Ronan or the Little Women, but the movie was just a nothing. But the movie was just a nothing. Okay, that's what they actually... Okay, a nothing. I actually don't want to use that phrase anymore because that's a Trump phrase. It just didn't do it for me. And it makes me sick when they, Saoirse Ronan and writer-director Greta Gerwig, who previously collaborated in Lady Bird, when they say they're going to work together forever. They'll work together for a while, and then something else will happen. A studio will get tired of one of them, and that's it. What is this person saying?
Yeah.
Okay, this one, I gotta say, before I read this one, I nearly choked laughing when I read this because I felt this came off very bad. Consider the fact that this Academy has been basically called racist all these years for not nominating any people of color. And recall in your mind a few weeks ago when Peter said how the only kind of performances from people of color, especially African Americans, that they recognize are if they're playing slaves or real life people or whatever. This person said, Cynthia Erivo was really, really good, but Harriet didn't really have the guts that 12 Years a Slave had. It was like the glossy Disney version of what slavery was. Think about that, because the reason why I nearly choked is what he's literally saying. Not enough black people were whipped. Because it's saying it didn't have the guts that 12 Years a Slave had. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, I've seen.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, this could be taken like, oh, so you're saying that Cynthia Erivo wasn't whipped enough. Okay. And you wonder why people call you racist? And you're basically, oh, okay. But I voted for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's Brad Pitt because he nailed it. The buddy that everyone wants. Who doesn't have okay, I'm sorry. The buddy that everyone wants, who doesn't have a good as life as you, but who is there for you every fucking minute. That loyal friend who all of us want, but most of us don't have. I never had a man crush on Brad Pitt, but after that movie, he's so smooth and likable that I want nothing but the best for him. And then this one was, whoa. Everyone is going on about the snub of J-Lo. Fuck J-Lo. I'm allergic to that movie. It isn't a movie about empowering women. It's a movie about slipping asshole men roofies and fucking jacking them. Roger Corman made better stripper films. They had some meaning.
I mean, I haven't seen the movie, so but I'm guessing he's wrong.
This felt really unnecessary to really just say fuck J-Lo. Okay. Florence Pugh was fine, but I didn't like Little Women. Marriage Story's Laura Dern is so lovable in real life, or Laura Dern is so lovable in real life, but she was so over the top compared to the rest of the movie that it didn't make sense. Scarlett Johansson and Jojo Rabbit was good, but it wasn't a command performance. Richard Jewell, Kathy Bates just phoned in her performance, and it was still better than almost everybody else's. Holy fuck. But my choice is Bombshell's Margot Robbie, because I believed her character. Sure, I have a crush on her.
Oh my god. What the fuck? No. That's... No.
I have a crush on her. That's the standard. Peter's reaction to all of this was number 1, holy shit, fuck these people.
Yeah.
Number 2, these people are sick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to assume you agree.
Yeah. No, they're fucked up.
I think Greta Gerwig is really great, but I shouldn't need a scorecard to keep track of a movie's timeline, so I ruled out Little Women first. Knives Out was okay, but it was really just a vehicle for stars to do silly shit. Oh, God. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood definitely gets my vote. It's a Hollywood insiders movie that everyone can like. It's a story about living in Hollywood and how our lives are so in flux. From minute to minute, they can change, for better or worse, at the drop of a hat, over one meeting, or one handshake, or one diss. Your whole career can be made or fucked. I loved it. See, this is why that movie is playing so well with these people, because it's really a movie made for them, about them, and only them. And this one's talking about the animation category. Oh boy, what a letdown of a category. Just so fucking boring. The Lion King should have been in here. It's an animated movie. And then the Hollywood Reporter had to correct him. The voter is made aware that the film was never submitted for consideration in this category. Okay.
Oh my God.
The first How to Train Your Dragon was kind of cute and wonderful, but the second and the third don't stand on their own. Oh,
Which one?
The second and the third.
No, but which movie? The How to Train Your Dragon?
How to Train Your Dragon. Toy Story 4? I'm so tired of franchise fucking Campbell Soups movies. Klaus was unwatchable. I Lost My Body would have been better as a live action film. It could have been done with special effects and I would have been more dynamic. I chose The Missing Link because at least it was hopeful. Peter immediately reacted with, "This is painful." And this is what I said to respond to him. Like, we know this is exactly how they think, but reading their comments doesn't make it any less gross. In fact, it's really eye-opening how downright idiotic and frankly disgusting they are.
Yeah.
Which is how I feel about what's going on. And then more comments here. The Lighthouse has beautiful black and white photography, but the movie was too depressing. One more here. And then this takes the cake, because this proves me right when I said that Marvel movie Endgame never had a prayer, and this is just on visual effects. I immediately knocked off Avengers Endgame. I just don't like the whole franchise. Although, if I were making money on it, I guess I'd love it.
What the hell?
So this person at the same time is saying he eliminated this movie because of the money that it makes, but if he were making money on it, he absolutely would vote for it. Okay. I'm not a Star Wars fan either. The Irishman's makeup effects were great. 1917 was fine. But The Lion King, I mean, whatever they did to make it look the way they did was fantastic. I'm a big animal lover, so it was what dreams are made of for me. I loved it. That's all I got. And frankly, I don't think I need any more. That kind of said it all.
I like how none of them had to do with the story at all.
None of these comments on any of these categories had nothing to do with the narrative, had nothing to do with the quality. The theme with all of these comments were they were horrendous, they were idiotic, and they were petty. How do you feel? I feel like I need a bath after reading those comments. How do you feel?
Nothing. Just, I mean, no, that's just bad, really.
It's bad.
That's all I can say.
Bad.
It's just bad. What the hell?
Like, yeah, I mean, this is why you shouldn't care about these people's opinions. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that, this is why you shouldn't care about the Oscars, really. Which is kind of like the point that we're trying to make on this show. So it's only fitting that this podcast is going to drop on the exact day the Oscars air. So, yes, it was intentional. Just so you know. So if you have no further comment, we're going to go ahead and close it off there. Thank you so much for being here, David. I generally found it to be a very interesting list, a very engaging conversation, and I definitely hope that people get that same reaction as well. Mm-hmm. In the next, I think 2 weeks, we're going to have our Oscar recap show as well as our official top 10 show with Peter Martinez and Kyle Lira.
Cool.
So that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Keep it right here on Red Spotlight every single Sunday. And it looks like it'll only be Sundays at this point, considering how much politics is going to be eating away at me, it looks like. So there's that. You can catch our show every single Sunday anywhere you listen to podcasts, as well as other shows like Bond and Beyond, To the Table, Who Knows, Fantasy Fair. I forget what other one. There is a whole bunch of them. Thank you all so much for listening. Keep it right here, right under the spotlight. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.